up. And I think that comes, that's up to the teacher to reach every student. And that's how I've always taught, and that's how I teach my dancers to teach too. And that's why we created a movement that is about accessibility to all people. So the people that come to our community classes, and that's what we call them, community classes, we have everyone from individuals who are in wheelchairs to elderly people, to dancers, non-dancers, yogis, and it's really special because we just rock out together. And it's something that we share. I mean, if you have a body and you can dance, whether it's in your mind or physically.
And I don't know whether I heard Dean or Marco, but one of them claimed that they don't dance either. So I think you might have to have some teaching going on there.
I'm not a dancer, man.
I'm not a dancer either.
So you might have your work cut out, Charlene, in terms of that. Hassan, what about spoken word? Are you of the opinion that anybody can drop some spoken word, or is it a mindset that only certain people have? And I have a great deal of respect, you know that I do, for you and Hassan and others. Or are you of the opinion, like Charlene is with the dancing, that everybody has a poem and a story in them?
Okay, so it's complicated, but I think everybody does have a story in them. Yes, everybody has a story and the ability to tell it. I think that people fall into two categories. They fall into people who have it naturally, and they fall into people who, they pick it up. Like it's an energy that passes around. Like it's the same thing as dance. Like if you listen to enough music, you gonna understand what a rhythm is eventually. That core of our brain, that primal core, it's music is in there. Like music is used to connect with people who have Alzheimer's. They can't remember anything. They can't remember their children, but they can remember a song. They'll know a poem. So it's just like it connects with something deeper within us. So people who don't have necessarily a deeper connection, they have a harder time figuring out what it is. You feel me? I read something today that said poetry is both form and feeling, but more feeling than form. So it's just like, there's training to it, but like when I started poetry, I had no training. Most 2-3 years, I pretty much I figured it out by myself. It wasn't something that I learned or studied. It was something that I saw, felt, and replicated. So it wasn't even a conversation of we should do that. Like I met people in the community, they helped me, they guided me. But the first poem I've ever written, the energy of it is the same as every other poem since. Like the process to get there is the same. It's kind of adjusted by other people. It's been tweaked, but for the most part, I knew how to do this before I knew how to do this, like that, and that's just how it is for some people. But at the same time, my connection with music was twisty. Like I've always had a vocabulary, but rhythm, it comes. So I've had to work. Like I don't. It's not something like they say. Another thing that my father said, he said, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. So it's just like even people who have it, if they don't use it, they're going to lose it, and that's just it. You feel me? Like you can be given something, you can lose it if you don't appreciate it. Like it depreciates. That's just how it happens. So I think it's a relationship to the art. You feel me? Like some people, they're more on the music side. They don't really want to be on the poetry side. Some people live in the poetry side. They're scared to hop onto the music side. Some people have a firm grasp of both. It depends on where you come from. It depends on your family. It depends on your environment. It depends on what you were exposed to. My grandfather, you feel me? He grew up in Texas. I feel like he grew up around music, but he doesn't like music at all. But he produced 3 musicians. So it's like it doesn't almost make sense. But they probably, like my aunts, my mother, they probably went to music because of the fact that he didn't need it, so he didn't push it on them. So, they was always sitting in silence. They can't do it. So it's just like there's those types of things, especially in our early days, but as we grow, that define whether we're going to do it. And at the end of the day, it's a choice. It is a choice. Like in my high school days, I was not the person to get on a stage. Like that right there was something we weren't going to do. Like it just wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
It was an L. Like, oh, you want me to speak in front of people? oh, that's funny. You must not know me. Hello, my name's Hassan. Feel me? I don't do that. Like, that was it. Like, that was the conversation. It wasn't even a thing of going around it, being da-da-da-da-da. It was just like, nah, y'all got that. So then to turn around and have to force myself into things, into stages, into rooms, into places with, you know, hundreds of people, 1,000, 30, 40, 20, and be able to perform with the same energy, bring the same level. Thank you. I got it.
You want food?
Yes. Thank you.
That's on you.
Sorry.
No problem.
That takes work. Like, so not even necessarily the poetry aspect, but you feel me, like a function, like walking into a room full of people I don't know and forcing myself to socialize for 2 hours. Like, that's a battle. You feel me? That's harder than the poem. The poem is easy at this point. Like, that's the difficult part. So every day you have to wake up and you have to choose it. And that's really what it is. Like, people saying, oh, I don't do poetry, they're really saying, oh, I don't want to do poetry. And you have to, and
right.
some people, but then there's people who say, I don't want to do poetry, and they're really saying, I don't know how, but I do want to, but I need to be pushed, or I need to be shown. So it's always going to be about looking somebody in the eye and seeing, you feel me, what they're really saying. Because I at this point in my life, I've almost built a career off being able to look somebody in the eye and see whether they want this, and or hearing them and seeing if they have it. Like, as far as like the whatever it is, like, it's a thing. Like, I can't explain it. I don't know. We don't got time for real. But some people have it. No. Some people don't. Especially when it comes to art. You can see it. It's clear. You feel me? 30 seconds into your poem, I pretty much know if you have it or not. And not just if you have it, like, not necessarily now. Like, I don't even necessarily feel like I have it now. Like, people say I have it, but me personally, I feel like I'm still very low on my progression. Like, I still feel like I have a lot of distance to go in my journey. So it's not even necessarily like, do you have it or not? It's like, do you even have the potential? Do you even have the will? You feel me? I've met people who did not have the skill, but they had the will, and they outgrew every person in there that thought they were more talented than them, because they had the determination. Not even the skill. The skill can be taught. You feel me? The substance can be taught. It's storytelling. You feel me? It's professional storytelling. It's like, it's not even necessarily difficult. So it's just like, it's not a thing of, you know, can you do it? You feel me? You can do anything if you put your mind to it. I truly believe that. You know what I mean? It's a thing of, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to put in the sacrifice? Are you willing to face your fears? You feel me? Are you willing to let go of what you think you are, who you think you are? Are you willing to lose yourself in that beat, in that music, in that rhythm? You feel me? Are you willing? When you really get down to it, it's like, are you going to let go of your fear? That's really what it is.
That's the biggest thing, is, are you going to let go of your fear? You hit it right on the money there. Mike, and we just got a few more minutes to wind down, and I want to hit everybody to get their websites and everything, and let Marco pitch the both of these guys and how people can get it. But before we get to that, I do have one quick question for you, and I know it's a long answer probably, but one of my fears with education is that sometimes that we teach to going, and I think somebody mentioned it earlier, going to work and only going to work. And I was just wondering, how do you fight against that? Because that's one of my great fears, is that sometimes we train people in the education field to go to work just to go to work, but not to try to create an entrepreneurial spirit or try to just have something other than a 9-to-5 job. So sometimes I think that our school system is too geared toward testing and too geared toward that, and I hate to use this term. I mean, primitive can be a misnomer for some people, and plantation mentality can be a misnomer for some. But it seems sometimes that we still have that mentality going on in our school system. And I was just wondering, you're very innovative, so I think that you do not do that, and I think that you try to fight against that here in Durham. So if you can, in a short answer how you try to counter that whole thing about, because we know that testing is a way that we measure people, and also that, you know, I'm not knocking going to work in Glaxo. Marco just mentioned you had a client at Glaxo, but or Glaxo as a client, but I'm saying, but sometimes we get too caught up in just going to work for work's sake.
Right, and so that's a really good question. And what I would say to that is here at Durham Public Schools, what we've really been trying to focus on our last couple of years is really bringing back the trades that are not necessarily a pathway of our students going to college, but actually learning a skill that you can start your own business. We've actually had entrepreneurship programs start up here in Durham Public Schools, and I think all of the high schools at this point, entrepreneurship. And actually in my son's middle school, they had in the 7th grade here that he was just in, his first semester, they had an entrepreneurship, what they called it was like a special, where it was a special class, it was called Discovery Class. And it taught about what it was like to be an entrepreneur. But you have to understand, not everybody's cut out to start their own business. Not everybody wants to start their own business. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that our students are the most prepared to do whatever it is, whatever path they have after graduating high school. If they want to, continue on to community college, which some of our students graduate with associate's degrees before they graduate with their high school diplomas, or maybe they want to go to a 4-year college, or maybe they want to go straight into the workforce. We need to prepare them, and that's what we're focusing on, is preparing them for whatever path it is. I don't think anymore there's a stigma saying you must go to college. That's not what we're focusing on now. We want to prepare you to be citizens, productive citizens after you leave our program, after you leave 12th grade, and whatever that may be. If you're interested in being an electrician, or you're interested in being a plumber, starting your own business there, we're going to support you in the way in whatever you need to do there. So, the path I took, I went to college. I got my master's. I'm actually going to be starting a doctoral program. That's my path. That's Mike Lee. That's what I want. That's what I grew up and wanted to do. But that's not everyone. And we've finally gotten to the place to where it is okay to teach kids that it's okay not that you don't have to go to college, at least not right off, even if you go ever. We want to prepare you to do whatever it is that you want to do, military, workforce, community college, start your own business. We're going to prepare you to do whatever it is you need to. And it's no longer a stigma that you have to go to college or you have to work for somebody. You could do it on your own. You could start your business, and this is how you do it. And that's what we've been doing in high schools at least over the last 2 years, maybe even 3 years. We've really started focusing on that.
Well, that's great to hear and everything. And I know that there's definitely been some innovative things going on in our Durham Public Schools. We've only got a few more minutes to go before we have to wrap everything up. So I'm going to start with Marco and then go to Chalet, and then Hassan, and I'll even come to you, Mike, as well. But if everybody can give how they can be reached. So, Marco, if you'll tell folks how they can get the book and also maybe your social media handles and things of that nature, but how they can reach out to you and maintain that dialogue. Because I know you and Chalet even said that y'all need to have some dialogue about some of that common ground that might have happened around Israel and everything. So if you'll just share with folks how they can reach you on social media, and then, like I said, I'll get to Chalet and find out how they can learn about her amazing dance troupe.
You got it. So the name again, Marco Greenberg, my first name and last name don't go together, but we'll save that for another show. It's at Marco Greenberg. For my Twitter handle, you can find me on LinkedIn. My company's name is Thunder 11, like Thunder and Lightning, Thunder 11, named after a theory that Marshall McLuhan developed. And the book you can find at primitiveBook.com. And I just want to give a plug to a book that's in my book that came out in the 1970s with a title that has stayed with me ever since. It's by Susan Jeffers, and it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I think that's what we're hearing about the various risk takers on this call.
Thank you. Chalet, tell folks how they can learn about your amazing dance work company and how they can reach out to you and hopefully see the classes that you're offering, as well as hopefully eventually see you do some live performances. And I want to thank you as well for being on the call.
Yes, thank you, and thank you to everyone. This has been a really inspiring conversation. So I joke with everyone since I moved here that my name is Shali like Raleigh. It's an easy way to remember it, but it's also spelled similarly. So it's Shali, SHALEIGH, Dance Works.